Welcome back to Key Talk Media. This your host Key Talk. Check it out, man. All right. Hey man, I want to give a shout out to the OG Key Talk game members like I do every single video because we steady keeping them likes up, and I do really appreciate that. For the newcomers, hey man, come on inside. Welcome to the Key Talk gang, and let's get the video started. Anyway, so check this out. So the new guy is actually on the stand inside of Young Thug's case, and his name is Antonio Sledge. Now, Antonio Sledge signed the plea agreement like the rest of the YSL that actually got arrested, including, Young Thug's brother, Funk, who else? Just a lot of them, right? I made videos over there in the past. You can go watch it, right? Now, what we was all telling y'all, everybody that was reporting on it was telling y'all that, hey, the fact that they signed these plea deals, at the very bottom of the plea deals, it would say stuff like, hey, you agree that YSL is a gang. You agree that you know that people inside of YSL have committed crimes in furtherance of the gang. You agree that they wear specific colors to classify them as a gang. No matter how you look at it, that information at the bottom of the plea deals that they actually signed is literally saying, that's just like them saying, hey, I'm on the side of the prosecutors to help pretty much lock Young Thug away for the rest of his life, or however long they're going to give him, right? Or try to give him if he wins, if he loses, right? Now that they're actually calling those guys to the stand, like the Antonio Sledge guy, he was on the stand and he was just pretty much like, hey, listen, I didn't even read the plea agreement. I don't know what I actually even put my signature to. And the lady was telling him like, hey, you know that in this section of the plea agreement where you signed it, you pretty much have already told us that not only is YSL a gang, but also you know that they're doing criminal activities. But now he's on the stand and he's kind of saying like, oh, well, yeah, I did sign it. So she gave him the paper. She was like, hey, listen, if I give you this paper, will you be able to look over what you actually signed and have a better understanding? He was like, yeah. And then once he read it, he realized, oh, dang, I signed some stuff that's literally making it like I'm snitching pretty much, right? So she told him to read it out loud to the court. He didn't do it. Why? Because he don't want that shame of like actually reading that out what he actually signed. This is for all of the people that unsigned the plea deals, right? That may have to get on the stand. Maybe all of them don't have to. I think they said Gunna won't have to. However, what we're gonna do today, we're going to look into what Antonio Sledge actually, what information they got from him, because I have that on the website of the Atlanta Police and stuff, but also the news website actually, but also we're going to look at the video of Antonio Sledge on the stand today. It's just a couple minute video. That way y'all can see the stuff that I just broke down to y'all. Y'all be able to see it, right? But before we watch the video, we're going to go read what information that they're saying that he's already given them without even being on the stand, right? And that way it'll give y'all a better idea on exactly what the blue hell is going on whenever y'all are watching him on the stand and we're watching that together, right? So let me get over to the other screen so we can get the show on the road and make that a little bigger for y'all. Okay, so it says, on Wednesday, state prosecutors called Antonio Monk Tonk Sledge, and I know y'all heard Young Thug talk about Sledge in his songs and stuff a lot, right? Sledge to the witness stand in the ongoing YSL RICO trial. While Sledge was indicted alongside Jeffrey Williams, of course, that's Young Thug, better known as rapper Young Thug, and the co-defendants currently on trial, he negotiated a plea deal in 2022. Now, it got a highlight on plea deal. I wonder if I click on that, what will it do? Okay, you know what? I'm not gonna click on this plea deal. Let me go back. Actually, give me just 1 second, y'all. I want to get back to the screen I was actually at, so we can continue doing it. But just know the last thing that it said that I was reading is that he negotiated a plea deal in 2022, and we know what that plea deal was inside of 2022, that they had to agree upon specific things that was actually going on, right? So it says, he pled guilty to one count of conspiracy to violate the Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organization RICO Act and one count of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Now, these guys, they don't have immunity like Woody did. Woody can get on the stand and act a fool and act crazy, and I don't recall all this stuff, right? Because he has immunity. These guys do not have immunity, and if they don't answer the questions like they did back then, they will be arrested, right? It says, in addition to 15 years of probation, Sledge acknowledges a series of 16 factual statements. So it says he acknowledged, so in addition to the 15 years of probation, because he took the 15 years, he also had to give up some information. So they said he acknowledged a series of 16 factual statements that will likely be used to prosecute his co-defendants. So that pretty much means he said 16 facts that's going to prosecute Young Thug, in other words, right? It says he acknowledged that YSL is an organization that has committed crimes intended to increase the notoriety, street credibility, and reputation of YSL. Okay, that's obvious. They all have to agree with that, right? And this is Sledge for y'all that don't know. It says, he said he personally knew that one or more YSL associates committed the murder of Donovan Thomas Jr. on behalf of YSL. Now, what that means is Sledge, they're eventually going to get into talking to him about the murder of YSL, I'm not YSL, of Donovan Nut Thomas. Why? Because he's told them that he personally knows pretty much who did it, literally, right? And I think he said more than one, he knows who committed it. So they're going to ask him about that. But let's continue reading about, Sledge right here, right? It says, after the murder, Sledge said he and other YSL associates gathered at Young Thug's home, where Young Thug gave Sledge and the other YSL associates cash money to lay low. So he was already doing some snitching, it sounded like, at least from what they're saying, right? It says, here are all the 16 factual statements Sledge acknowledged as truth during his December 2022 plea deal. So he said this in his plea deal. And not only in his plea deal, he had a lawyer working for him. So it ain't like you're going to see... For Sledge, you're not going to see any video, hear any audios of him talking like you got for YSL Woody, because Sledge was doing this all through his lawyer, right? And we all know lawyers technically can't snitch, but they can agree to particular stuff on behalf of their clients, which these are all the statements and stuff that he agreed to, right? So it says, so these are the 16 factual Sledge acknowledged as the truth during his December 22 plea deal. Number one, Young Slime Life, aka YSL, is an organization made up of 3 or more members or associates who share common identifiers. Let me make this bigger for y'all. Who share common identifiers that include but are not limited to colors, hand signals, and terminology, who have committed crimes intended to increase the notoriety of street gang credibility and reputation of YSL. That alone is RICO, right? That just yells RICO. The second thing he admitted, defendant has been a member or associate of YSL since 2012, so he's going to know a lot of the details about it, right? Number 3, while associated with YSL, and to support and express loyalty to YSL, defendant and co-defendant Demikion Garlington and Quindarius Zachary appear in a video with another person, AS, where defendant brandishes a weapon used in a drive-by shooting, and whereafter, on behalf of YSL, defendant threatened to harm a person named Kale, a rival gang member who had begun a relationship with the defendant's ex-girlfriend. Number 4, on or about April 28, 2015, a reflection in a Fulton County indictment, I'm not going to read the indictment number, defendant and fellow YSL associate Demikion Garlington and Quindarius Zachary committed a drive-by shooting using a firearm defendant wielded in the video reference in part 3 of this section, targeting family members of rival gangs. And this is what I want y'all to remember from this, right? Everything that I'm reading, he has already agreed to it inside of his plea deal. This is why a lot of people were saying, hey, the fact that they took plea deal and they're omitting a lot of this stuff in their plea deals, that's literally snitching, because this can and will be used against Young Thug to prosecute his co-defendants. Because at the top, what did it say? All these statements will be used to prosecute your co-defendants. So all these guys literally took this same plea deal with different information in it, right? So the 5th thing that it says he's admitted to, defendant and his fellow YSL associates committed the drive-by shooting referenced in section 3 and 4, because drive-by shooting, right? We're going to speed past these so we can get to the video, right? Number 6, defendant admitted, committed, and was convicted of aggravated assault and participating in criminal street gang activity, among other charges, for his participation in the drive-by shooting referenced in section 3, 4, and 5, right? Number 7, defendant was told by another YSL associate that immediately after the murder of Donovan Nut Thomas Jr., YSL associates met at the McDonald's on Cleveland Avenue, you know, they're going to say Bleevin Avenue because they bloods, right? In Atlanta, Georgia, to discuss the murder. Number 8, defendant personally knows that one or more YSL associates committed the murder of Donovan Nut Thomas. They're going to ask him about that for sure. Number 9, on January 10, 2015, after the murder of Donovan Nut Thomas Jr., defendant and other YSL associates gathered at the time of Jeffrey Williams, aka Young Thug, who gave defendants and other YSL associates cash money to lay low. So that's specifically going to put Young Thug in that situation when they ask him about it, because they will ask him about this, right? Number 10, defendant has personal knowledge that on January 10, 2015, after the murder of Donovan Thomas, YSL associates traveled to Miami, Florida with co-defendants and YSL founder Jeffrey Williams, aka Young Thug. Number 11, defendant did not murder Donovan Thomas Jr. and was not part of the crime. So he made it clear, I didn't murder Donovan Thomas, but I know who did it, and also I know what was going down, what happened, all the details about it, right? They will ask him about that. Number 12, defendant did not murder Shamel Drinks and was not at a party at the crime. Number 13, defendant cannot truthfully assert that the person charged in this indictment with the murder of Donovan Thomas Jr. are not guilty of the murder, and defendant will make no attempt at trial, prior trial, or after trial to exonerate the person's charged in the indictment with the murder. Cool. So this literally right here, this literally says, hey, I can't. Let's reread this. We're going to break this down. Defendant cannot truthfully assert that the person charged in this indictment with the murder of Donovan Thomas Jr. are not guilty. So that he's literally saying, hey, I can't tell y'all that the person that y'all are saying killed Donovan Thomas is not guilty. If y'all think he's guilty, then he's guilty. I can't tell y'all that he's not. And then it continues and it says, and the defendant will make no attempt at trial, prior to trial, or after trial to exonerate the person charged in the indictment with the murder of Donovan Thomas. That literally means if y'all say he did it, when I get the trial and I get on the stand like I am right now, I'm not gonna get on the stand and say no, he didn't do it. Whatever y'all think did it, whoever y'all think did it, that's who did it. And this is what he had to do in order to get a 15-year plea deal. That's why whenever they got these, all of them got plea deals for 15 years, everybody was like, whoa, how the heck, for one, how did they get the plea deals? For two, why is the plea deals and probation so long? 15 years, they're gonna mess up and end up back in jail, like On Funk did, right? Now, let's continue with this, because it is, like I said, it's getting worse and worse, right? Number 14, the gas station at 151 Cleveland Avenue, Atlanta, Georgia, is one of multiple locations where YSL associates sell drugs and do not allow other gangs to operate. Number 15, the gas station at 221 Cleveland Avenue, Atlanta, Georgia, is another location where YSL associates do their thing. I ain't gonna read the rest of that, right? Number 16, defendant has personal knowledge that he and other members of associates of YSL have either participated in or directly committed at least one of the following crimes in order to achieve notoriety and reputation of YSL: murder, armed robbery, aggravated assault. Listen, just listen to this. Defendant has personal knowledge, so he knows something, that he and other members or associates of YSL have either participated in or directly committed at least one of the following crimes in order to increase the notoriety and reputation of YSL: murder, armed robbery, aggravated assault, attempted murder, theft, illegal gun possession, illegal drug possession, and listen, bro, he's literally saying that there's absolutely no way that anybody can look at this and say that the plea deal that they took was not a form of snitching, a form of telling, because they always say, well, snitches, when you do a crime with somebody and then in order to get yourself less time, you pretty much blame it on them. That's exactly what this actually is, right? But now what I want to do, let's just get us over here to the actual video so we can listen to Antonio Sledge on the actual stand, right? Give me just a second here. Okay, so here we goes. First of all, so the caption I wrote on it says, YSL stepper Sledge gets reminded that the plea deal him and all the other YSL members signed 100% says YSL is a gang and helps the state prosecute Thug. He said he didn't read it. He just signed the plea. She then gave him the plea deal paperwork and told him to read it out loud, and he refused out of shame that he has snitched. So here it goes.
Go ahead.
Because none of the stuff on the paper, I never approved none of it. I signed, but if you would have came to me and asked me that before, I would have told you it wasn't true.
Earlier when we were talking about changes that you asked to be made, do you remember having an opportunity to look at the document that is labeled 444 Yankee?
To be honest with you, I didn't look at the whole document.
Okay. So if I give it back to you, will you look at each of the factual acknowledgments contained on the document?
I already told you, Ms. Love, I initiated on it.
That's not what I'm asking.
Yeah, I can
Do
look
you
at
need
it.
an opportunity to look back
I
at
can
it?
look back on it.
Okay, so now she's going to give him the plea deal, the plea agreement that he signed, put his initials next to back, because he has now said that he does not recall what he actually signed, right? And this is the importance of being able to read and understand and stuff like that, right? But he probably just signed it because he just wanted to get the heck up out of there, get back to his family. But in actuality, do I think he actually read what he was signing? Yes, because it's literally telling you, hey, you have to agree to this, you have to agree to that, have to agree to that, obviously. And he had a lawyer, so his lawyer is going to tell him, hey, this is what that's saying, right? Not just have him signing anything whichever way it goes. So I definitely think it's some cap when he says he didn't actually read it. But let's just watch the rest of this, right?
When you've had a chance to read each of them, would you just look up?
So now he's looking up.
Could you read each of the?
See, it didn't take him long to read that, right? And now she's about to ask him to actually read what he just read. She wanted him to read it out loud because he would have to read out loud. I testified that YSL is a gang. I testified that we wear specific colors. I testified. You remember those 16 things that I pretty much read to y'all earlier? He'd have to read a form of that kind of stuff out loud in front of Young Thug, because remember, Young Thug is literally at this trial watching him literally in his eyes, right? So let's see if he wants to read it out loud or not.
The items under that section, please.
You just read them, Ms. Love.
Do you not want to read them?
No, I don't want to read.
Why don't you want to read them?
Because I don't want to read. I just answer to you.
Of course I don't want to read that. You're trying to make me look like a snitch? Or you trying to make me verbally, audio, have something to make me look like a snitch? No, I ain't reading nothing at all.
Okay.
I don't want to read.
Having had the opportunity to look at the factual acknowledgments, what other factual acknowledgments besides the one you listed as 8 and 9 are you now saying aren't true?
Yeah.
That is a misstatement of the evidence. He said that 7 is not true as well.
Yep.
Okay.
Sustained.
I'll rephrase. Earlier, did I ask you to identify which portions of the factual acknowledgement that you asked the state to change?
And I told you 8, 9, and I couldn't remember if I asked you to change 7, but I know 7 is false.
Okay.
That's what I told you.
If you understood that you could ask me to change 8 and 9, would you explain why you did not ask me to change any other ones?
I can't say, my Lord.
Did the state?
And don't just think he's going to have to be the only one answering these tough questions like that. All of the YSL members who signed plea deals, they're going to have to get on the stand, and they're going to go through this exact same process that he's going through right here. So they better go ahead and start planning on what in the blue hell they're going to say.
Force you
And they don't have immunity like Woody, so they can't be doing all the capping and stuff like that.
to sign this document?
I was forced. I feel like I was forced myself.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I feel like I was forced myself because I was going through something.
Explain what you're saying.
I was going through something with my mother being sick. I needed to get home to my mother. And if I went to trial, I couldn't afford Mr. Wright to go to trial.
See? Oh, he couldn't afford Mr. Wright to go to trial. Okay, first of all, he's pretty much saying he signed that because he wanted to get home to his family. Remember, YSL Woody, his main thing was, as long as I can get home to my family, I'm going to do whatever I got to do. If I got to say this, I got to say that, I'm going to say what I got to say to get home to my family. But also, he just said he couldn't afford Mr. Wright to go to trial. I got to figure out who Mr. Wright is. Either Mr. Wright is his lawyer or is someone who he helped with the lawyer to actually for trial. So we'll have to see. Maybe he'll discuss it more as time goes on.
Could you afford to ask Mr. Wright to make any further corrections to the document?
Okay, that just proved to me that that's his lawyer. Mr. Wright has to be his lawyer because they said make corrections to the document. No other person on trial, criminal, will be able to make corrections to the document that he has to sign.
That specific day, Ms. Love, I was just trying to get home to my sick mother.
Go ahead.
Because none of the stuff on the paper, I never approved none of it. I signed, but if you would have came to me and asked me that before, I would have told you it wasn't true.
Earlier, when we were talking about changes that you asked to be made, do you remember having an opportunity to look at the document that is labeled 444 Yankee?
To be honest with you, I didn't look at the whole document.
Okay. So if I give it back to you, will you look at each of the factual acknowledgments contained on the document?
Okay, cool. So that's pretty much is repeating itself now. But hey, listen, man, this trial is definitely underway and it's going wild right now. As more details coming about the trial, and especially with Sledge on the stand, because I know he's gonna be giving up some big details, and he gonna have to give up some big details. Not that I think he's going to. For the stuff that he's already admitted, they're gonna be asking about all that, and I'm gonna bring it to y'all when he does answer those questions, so y'all can see exactly what's going on. What is he saying? How is he gonna respond to it? We saw how YSL would have responded to it. All right, now we're gonna see how Buddy responds to it all. But other than that, I got a couple more little videos for us to watch, right? So listen, fam. Inside of the United States right now, a lot of the Venezuelan gangs are, in fact, inside of the hoods planning to take it over, like some spots in O Block. It's been some real street niggas come out. Actually, I got a video of some of the Venezuelans inside of O Block walking through O Block with a whole gun battle going on in the background, and they ain't worried at all because where they come from, it's a whole lot of violence and just a whole lot of disorder, right? And ain't a whole lot of law, this the land of law and order. There ain't a lot of law and order where they from, so they ain't worried about it, right? But they are plotting on going ahead and taking O Block. I'm talking about, let me go ahead and get that video up on here for y'all, right? And then we'll close it out after this, right? So it says the Venezuelans walking through O Block plotting on the next takeover. And of course, this is my Instagram at Key Talk Media. If you don't follow Key Talk Media on my Instagram, oh my gosh, you're missing out because I post a lot of entertaining stuff here.
Wow, mira. Wow, con la 66.
You're watching Key Talk Media.
Allá. Un block. Un block.
You hear him? O Block, O Block.
Un block, mamá huevo, está por allá. Nosotros estamos por aquí. Oh, el malandrío. Ah,
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, so yeah, they definitely walking through O Block. But yeah, man, listen. It's a whole lot of wild stuff going on, and there's going to be more stories on the Venezuelan gangs and the Venezuelans that's taking over with inside of some of the hoods and within the United States, and it's definitely going to get more and more juicy. I'm telling y'all that right now. I'm calling it now. We will see it later. We'll watch it together. But today's video, I just want y'all to show y'all about Antonio Sledge. Tell me what he's having to go through on trial since he did sign the plea deal that he said he don't know what he actually signed. He just signed it so that he can go home with his kids. But he ain't going to be the only one. It's going to be more that's going to have to do it, right? Anyways, let me know something. Comment down below. Let me know what you think about this entire ordeal. I'm out.